Jó reggelt kívánok, hogy vagy jó? Start of a, boy, that's good. Start of another day here in, here in a crazy, messed up world. You know, for those of you that haven't seen the news, and you will, um, God, just another another day of another crazy, crazy thing happening. I was, I'm in the driveway of Skipper Smith. And Skipper Smith is he's probably all curled up inside his blankets right now, probably deep in sleep. But anyway, it was good seeing Skipper Smith yesterday. He actually got a haircut. Skipper Smith got a haircut, and he looks pretty good. I didn't tell him that, but he looks pretty good. But anyway, I got in here late in the evening yesterday, and wasn't too long before I myself got all tucked in, and I've allowed myself to get into this really bad habit of checking my phone, throughout, as I go to bed, and I'll do the Facebook, and I'll do the news, and I'll do all that kind of stuff. But I it didn't take long before I was in bed before I saw some message about the unfolding events in New Zealand. And for those of you that don't know, the latest latest body count, I think, is at 49 people, which will probably inevitably go up. But I sat there watching the story, and for those of you that don't know, some three, I think, well, some people went into a couple mosque, and started shooting. And I mean, that's not necessarily the thing you want to go to sleep thinking about. But and then I was also watching what's happening down in Venezuela, and that's kind of gotten it's not gotten as much news as one might think, national news. But boy, the situation down in Venezuela is just unraveling. It's unraveling in front of our eyes with the fact that they've got no power. Well, you take a society and take away their power, and all bets are off. But anyway, the so I woke up this morning, and just I woke up this morning, and I flip on the news, which I normally do to make sure that there's still a world to go out there to. And I see the headline about New Zealand and the 49 dead, and what have you. And that's what naturally is going through my head as I'm going through my morning routine. And I started thinking back. As I was jumping in the shower and doing my morning shave and all that kind of stuff. I started thinking back to a time in my life where I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in God. I was probably I probably stopped believing in God right about the time I was 20, maybe 2021, when I fell under the influence of some shady characters out of Southern California that had moved to Northern California, and they didn't have any God in their life. And they took God out of my life for a good portion of my 20s until I found him when I was until I found him when I was about 29. But anyway, as I was going about, my morning thoughts, I found myself thinking that back in the day, I would go through, life events, such as the one in New Zealand. And I would always think, why does God let these things happen? Why does God, if there's a God in heaven, why does God let these things happen? And I used to always reason, certainly there couldn't be a God in heaven, because God wouldn't let these things happen if there was. And interestingly enough, hindsight is 2020. And as I look back over over my spiritual evolvement, so to speak, as I was, I don't know if the right word is evolving, but I found the answer to that. I found the answer. I found the answer to, why does God let these things happen? And why does God, allow suffering and all that? I found the answer. And the answer that I came up with, at least in my mind, is God doesn't allow these things. Human beings, we allow these things. We allow them. And I just think that the greatest thing that God gave us, the greatest single thing that God gave us, was freedom. God gave us freedom to do and choose as we wish. God gave us a paradise, except for the mosquitoes and the flies. God gave us a paradise, and He gave us our freedom. And when you say, why does God let these things happen? The logic that I came up with is because He gave us our freedom. He gave us our freedom, and I would imagine that God looks down on this world, and I'm sure there's so many times that He wants to intervene. He wants to solve cancer. He wants to stop these mass shootings. He wants to do that. But by Him intervening, He's taking away our freedom. He's taking away our ability to do these things. And so that's pretty much how I've come to reason with this type of stuff over the years. God doesn't, as far as cancer and all that kind of stuff, if humanity spent half of its resources and collective intellect and what have you on solving problems, cancer, and solving problems like solving the other problems in the world, then a lot of that stuff probably would have been solved and taken care of a long time ago. But anyway, unfortunately that's not the case. So anyway, but the tears in heaven, on the subject of the video, I see in my head, I visualize God sitting up there in heaven. I wonder if God sits there on a big throne. You got to wonder about that, don't you? Does God sit up there on some massive big throne? And Jesus is on His right, and they're like in a big court, and court gestures come in, and all that kind of stuff. You got to wonder what God looks like and what God does all day, right? But I would imagine that on days like today, God is just kind of looking down at this world that He created, and wouldn't surprise me if there's a tear or two coming down the cheek of His face, because I would imagine that it saddens the hell out of Him, But anyway, all right. So I got to get on with my day, and let you do the same. So have a great day, everybody. All right, as best as you're able to. All right, take good care.